And thank you so much for joining me today and agreeing to talk to me. It's super appreciated. So, you're working with the Brain Tumour Charity currently as a young ambassador, and it would be amazing to hear how did you get into that? What led you to do it? And how's it going?
Yeah, so I first of all, like the the tumor was found after I was training for a marathon with my friend, and very quickly the symptoms just came on. So my leg was constantly dragging on a running machine, and I just put it down to my muscles and me becoming a little bit, so I just needed to take a week um, off running to sort of let my body, get used to everything. But then my right arm started feeling a little bit funny, and I was on placement in university. Um, so I was doing a lot of handheld projects because I was on product design, and because it was all down one side, my mum, she's a nurse, so she was saying, go and just get everything checked out, just to make sure. I went to the GP, and instantly he told me that I had MS, which wasn't very good because you're not meant to diagnose a patient straight away. But and I went to my brother's birthday party, and I went to my mum. She was like, "How was it?" And I was like, "Well, I've got MS, mum." And she was just like, she was gobsmacked, and she said, "Right, the first thing we're doing tomorrow is calling up." And she says, "I don't care how much it costs, we're getting you a scan because this isn't right." And so we went, had the scan, and it turned out there was a huge mass on my brain. Mine type of tumor is a pilocystic astrocytoma. So it's basically a cyst, like a tumor that comes with a cyst. So it was absolutely massive. Anyway, we would go for surgery, and they operate. And because it's located right in the center of my brain, it's, quite difficult. And they were saying risk of death and, risk of stroke is less than 1%. And I just thought, oh, that's, some other poor guy. And, he's had that and it's not going to be me. So I went into it quite confident. I came out unable to move my right side, unable to speak. I could only say the word yes. So when it came to a hospital visit, like people could the handover, it was often, even though it was written above my head, often nurses wouldn't see it and then say, "Do you want some more morphine? Do you want some paracetamol?" And I was just like, I was trying to wean myself off, but all I could say was the word yes. Anyway, eventually my speech did come back, and the first word I was able to say was like swear words. And so I instantly, whenever I say a swear word, that would mean no. And yes, obviously meant yes. So above my head was written, "He's not being rude, he's just saying no." So that was quite interesting. But I had lots of rehab. I had speech and language, my movement in my right arm still isn't good. And I walk with a little bit of a limp, but I can get around. And so yeah, it's sort of like affected my confidence, but I've learned to deal with it. But then, I've had multiple surgeries. I've had four now. I've had proton beam therapy, and I'm currently on a clinical trial. And I've been on that for 2 years, and so far the signs, everything's remained stable. I had eight seizures beforehand, and since I've been on the trial, I've not had one. Um, so if anything, it's good just because I haven't had these seizures. One funny story: when I was coming out of, I was coming out of surgery, and you're all morphined and gassed up and everything, and I was being wheeled back to my bedroom, And I see my mum and my dad, and I'm like, oh yeah, hi. And the woman then, I think she's walked off. So I turned to my parents and I said, Mum, Dad, that woman's an absolute angel. Like, she's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to marry her. Anyway, they start laughing. They're absolutely wetting themselves. And then I look over to my right, and because it affected my vision, and I'm like, I'm blind in that half of my eye, so I couldn't see her. And yes, she was just standing there. She didn't let me forget it the whole time I was in hospital. But I just kind of felt a bit alone, and it was like I was the only person in the whole of the UK that's my age that had a brain tumor, and that was really hard. It just it's so isolating. And then I started looking around for things that I could do, and the Brain Tumour Charity popped up, and I kind of like thought, you know what, let's go for it. Like, the worst that happens is I don't enjoy it, and I don't go again. And I see this girl at the train station, and she was wearing some like really funky jeans, and I just couldn't get over, like, how strange they were. And then she boarded the train, and so did I. And then got off, and we got onto another train, and I thought, "Hmm." And then we got onto another train, and we arrived in Fleet, and I'm thinking, there's no way that someone from Tamworth has a brain tumor and is coming. Anyway, we get to the car park, and we're looking around for someone, and then this woman, she says, "Oh, are you with the brain tumor?" And I go, "Yeah," and then she goes, "Yeah," and I'm just like, "There is no way." And I go, "Are you from Tamworth?" And she was like, "Yeah." I said, "So am I." And I said, "What school did you go to?" And she went, "St Leonard's." I was just like, that was my primary school. And then she literally lived 5 minutes away from my house. And the Brain Tumour Charity helped to connect us, and I'm so glad they did. She's such a wonderful girl. And yeah, there was 21 of us in this room, and it was just absolutely crazy. It was walking into a room full of your family. It was, you could literally say anything you felt. And amongst the 21, there'd be someone who knew that exactly that sort of feeling. There were people with, short-sightedness, no, like they're blind in one eye. Um, and, you had people whose mums, dads, friends passed away. You had a brother and his sister both joined because the brother had the brain tumor. You had literally, it was so nice. And yeah, it's been the highlight of the last 6 years, because I don't know where I'd be without them, to be quite honest. We're constantly messaging on the WhatsApp group. We're doing all these, meetups and events, and yeah, it was so good, because coming from a place of isolation and feeling like no one could understand you, suddenly 21 others being able to understand you is just like mind blowing.
And what age are the people there, Owen? What, if somebody's watching this and thinking that they're feeling really isolated and that they haven't come across anybody else who of their age who's got something like this, what sort of age range was there at the meetings?
So this course is aimed at people between the ages of 18 and 25. Currently, because I'm coming up to the end of the 2 years, they are they are inviting new, fresh, young ambassadors to step forward and take their place. But even if you're older than 25, there are, like, you can just down Volunteero and speak to the Brain Tumour Charity. And honestly, with the amount of opportunities there are just to get involved is crazy. You know, I've met so many amazing people. I've met people that look like authors. I've met people who've written about their experiences. I've met, you know, people like I've been lucky enough to speak in Parliament. Uh, you know, you just meet these incredible people. You hear their stories about how hard some of them have, you know, battled, and you know, for what they've overcome, and you hear about the families, and it's just like a massive community. Like, if you get involved in the Brain Tumour Charity or any of the charities, it's so amazing, for what you can do. And it's like my work, so currently I work for a tech company called Newfully. They're absolutely fantastic with the opportunities that they allow me to have. You know, oftentimes I have to go to the hospital. That's, you know, it's like medical leave, and they're so supportive with my clinical trial. And actually, they've arranged it's like a Tough Mudder, like a run in absolute dirt, and you know, going through puddles and stuff, which were quite interesting. They've arranged one of them, to go and do for the Brain Tumour Charity. And you know, like last year, um, the big boss's wife, she helped me raise, you know, up to, I think it was £5,000 in the end of it, um, just for a coffee morning. So that morning we raised £5,000, and it's just like, it was crazy because the amount of people that came along to it and hearing all their stories. There was a woman in the village over, and there was a woman in my village that had brain tumours, and it was just like my old primary school teachers came, and you know, it was just so odd, the amount of people. And yeah, it was kind of crazy. And my girlfriend currently, she was at this event, and I used to go to sixth form with her. And because she came to that event, we got together, and it was absolutely lovely. And yeah, it was, you know, all my family came down for it. And yeah, so it's crazy. Like, you put yourself, you know, in a certain, you put yourself out there, and the amount of people there are that, you know, really understand you is, you know, fantastic. And yeah, I say, like, the brain tumor is the worst thing that happened to me, but also the best. And it's like, without them, I'd probably, you know, I would have been like self-centered and just, you know, just looking out for me. And it's like, now it's like I just care about everyone, sort of thing.
It sounds like you've done some really amazing work as an ambassador and had brilliant opportunities through it. So it sounds like it's been a real journey, but a really exciting one. And I
Yeah,
think going back to what you said at the start, we've got to shout your mum out for taking you to have that scan, because I know she's a nurse, so she is medically trained, but at the same time, I suspect it was less about her nursing instinct and more about looking at her son and thinking something's not quite right. So she did an amazing thing at the start by getting this fixed out really quickly. So let's give
yeah.
her the recognition she deserves. And I can see you've come from an amazing family because you've all got these wonderful values. And if there was, in terms of awareness, because that's what March is Brain Tumour Awareness Month, in terms of raising awareness, it sounds like you've been involved in so many different ways to do this. What would you suggest to somebody who just wants to do something small, if they feel like they'd like to do something but feel like it's quite an overwhelming idea? What would you suggest to them?
Uh, Write to your MP. There's already a letter. It's already formed. All you need to do is enter your email, and send it. just on the brain tumour site, just to make your MP aware that someone in their constituency deals with this. And, you know, there probably will be others in the same constituency that, you know, suffer from this. And it's basically just a letter to let them know, you know, this absolutely awful hand you've been dealt with, and to get them to go to. There's currently a bill that we've passed, that, you know, the rare cancer bill passed, and, you know, that we've recently submitted one that got 1,009 signatures. No, 100,000 109,000 signatures, which, you know, that's how many people are caring. And it was just like, it was crazy because we went to like number 10 and everything, and it was so like official. And, you know, just writing to that MP caused all of this, and just making people aware that, you know, brain tumours are a thing. So that's one of the most simple things you can do, and just speaking out to, you know, even if it's just a friend, and just making them aware that, you know, these people are like affected. Because if you told me, you know, someone had a brain tumor, I'd say, what's that? And it was just like, no one gets that. And I always thought, like, you know, it was always someone else, not me. And when it actually was me, I was just like, you know, I was making jokes when I was told. My parents were crying and everything, and my mum was there, and she was just like, right, plan of action. And, you know, she was so switched on. And there I was making jokes, and the doctor said, this isn't a joke, like, this is serious. And even, you know, that was just my coping mechanism. But yeah, just, you know, just write to your MP and make them aware.
That's such good advice, because that's something that actually you don't have to have a brain tumor yourself, or even know somebody who has a
No,
brain tumor. You could do it because it's important.
yeah,
You know,
the letter
that's really good
doesn't
advice.
say that I've got a brain tumor necessarily. It says that, you know, someone in your constituency has a brain tumor. So you don't even have to, like, say that you've got it. You just, you know, you're just making them aware. That's on the Brain Tumour's website, but the Brain Tumour Charity. But yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things that you can do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Like, you're a wealth of information, and for sharing your story. And I think what will be also amazing for other people to hear is that this happened to you whilst you're at university, but it hasn't stopped you. Like, you're working in tech, like, you've got your job, you know, it hasn't stopped you from getting on with your life, which I think for people who potentially are a bit earlier in their journey with this, and feeling like they're not sure what they're going to what the next stage holds, that'll be really inspiring to them. So thank you so much, Owen. Like, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I could keep you here all day. I won't, but I could. So thank you. It's so appreciated.
Thank you. That's yeah, it's all right. Thank you for having me.